The S&P 500 is 1.25% away from its all-time high level, which is expected to be 655x. The Dow Jones is approx 1.5% away from its ATH, that will be a little above 46,000. The Nasdaq and its ETF QQQ have already attained the all-time high mark. For QQQ, we knew that 583/585 will be the all-time high, and the QQQ has already achieved this high in the month of August. Now, if you notice, there is a pattern. There is a pattern, okay, that can be clearly noticed in this case. This pattern will break or would have been broken if on Tuesday the S&P 500 would have breached the recent low. The recent low was on 20th of August and it was 6344. 6344 was the low on 20th of August. However, on 2nd of September, the low was 6360. Okay, it did not breach this low. But the most important part is that why and how the S&P 500 sustained after a heavy gap down open on Tuesday on 2nd of September. So for that, at around 11:35 a.m. Eastern time and before that 10:50 a.m. Eastern time, okay, I've cleared this to my Patreon community members that after the heavy gap down open, because the S&P 500 at the time of this the gap down open will be disrespecting the 638x, the 638x level. This is the 638x level. Okay, this means that even if it comes down, then the 636x, the 636x level is there to handle the fall, and the S&P 500 is not expected to lose and to trade below 636x. Even if there comes a breach of 636x, then also it will be recovered. That now for the entire day the S&P 500 will trade in between the 636x and the 640x. So the S&P 500 traded in that manner in between 636x and 640x. However, the most important part was not the movement on Tuesday itself, but it was the closing on Tuesday. Because the movement that you are seeing in the market, okay, this bullishness or this sustained movement, the bullishness, okay, that you are seeing in the market is basically because of the closing of the S&P 500 as well as the closing of the Dow Jones on Tuesday 2nd of September. So what was so special about the closings of the S&P 500, Dow Jones and also the Nasdaq? Okay, in my final update on Tuesday in the point number 4, here I mentioned if the SP500 closes above 6401.51 and at the same time Dow Jones closes above 45,287.73, then it will be seen as heavy bullish condition wherein we can expect a gap up open on the next day. Next day was Wednesday in the entire market or irrespective of any open, an initial or intraday bullish movement in the entire market. The bearish side will be limited and recoverable and restricted. And if the Nasdaq also closes above 23,020.47 along with S&P 500 and the Dow Jones, then this condition will become heavily bullish. And what we have seen on Wednesday, a heavy gap up open, and any fall will be limited, restricted and recoverable. Okay, and it will remain bullish. And on Wednesday the high was 6453 and the low was on Wednesday 6416. And the same you can see in this the midday update to my Patreon community members. And because the S&P 500 and the entire market sustained bullish on Tuesday and Wednesday, so now it was clear that on Thursday, okay, the market is going to further going to sustain bullish. Now on Friday, it was clear that 653x, okay, will trigger a fall just like 649x and 646x. But again, this fall was contained. Okay, if you notice, the low was 6444 on Friday. Okay, my level is in 644x, the strong support level. Okay, but before that it was supposed to hold at 646x. If it loses, then 644x will hold, will throw it back to 646x or above. And you can see the same in this, the comment that was posted at 10:33 EM Eastern time to my Patreon community members. So how it is going to work in the bearish side and in the bull side, to what levels, okay, what will be the bearish condition, bullish condition, I am going to discuss each and everything in detail in this S&P 500 weekly technical analysis, which is for the week of September 8th. Means from September 8th, which is Monday, to September 12th, that will be Friday. So guys, if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell icon. And if you want to get these daily precise updates of the S&P 500, Dow Jones, and in a manner to the entire US stock market every day from Monday through Friday, and also the opportunities in the premium stocks of the US stock market, every day I give minimum of 5. On the monthly basis, there are more than 100 opportunities. So guys, in order to get all of these, you can join my Patreon community. I have given the link in the description of the video and also in the comment section. Now guys, let me tell you that I have divided this S&P 500 weekly technical analysis in 3 parts. First part is the weekly chart. Weekly chart means the trend, the long-term trend, the long-term picture. Okay. Second part is the daily chart. Daily chart means the short-term picture, the short-term trend. Okay. The good thing is that on the daily chart, S&P 500 has recovered to bullish. Third part is the probable movement of the S&P 500 in the next week. Probable movement means what is going to happen, what is expected to happen in the S&P 500, Dow Jones, and in a manner to the entire US stock market in the next week. What will be the bullish condition, what will be the bearish condition, okay, all of these. So now I will begin with the weekly chart. So guys, this is the weekly chart. Weekly chart means one candle represents 1 week, not 1 day or 1 hour. So now I am going to first describe the candle, define the candle. Okay, so on this, the weekly chart of the S&P 500, okay, this is the last weekly candle of the S&P 500. It's a good bullish candle. Good bullish candle means, see, the open price of the candle was below the open and the closing of the previous candle, but the closing price is above the open and the closing price of the previous candle and all other previous candles, right? So this means that there are good bullish sentiments through this the candle. Yes, the problem is that this candle does not confirm a gap up open, but yes, this candle does confirm an initial or intraday bullish movement on Monday in the S&P 500. Okay, now comes the Dow Jones. This is the Dow Jones. So this is the last weekly candle of the Dow Jones. Now this candle is a normal bullish candle. Okay, the open and closing prices of the candle are below the open and the closing price of the previous candle. This itself is more than sufficient to tell us that there is bearish pressure on the Dow Jones. But because the Dow Jones has closed above its previous all-time high, okay, and also this all-time high, at Dow Jones has closed at 45,400, right? Because of this bearishness in the Dow Jones will be countered, okay, but this does not confirm a gap up open. This simply indicates an initial or intraday bullish movement in the Dow Jones on Monday. So now it's clear through the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones that there will be an initial or intraday bullish movement on Monday. And the same I have mentioned in the final update on Friday to my Patreon community members, that if the closing is seen in this or this manner, then there will be bullishness. Okay, but no gap up open, just an initial or intraday bullishness in the S&P 500 and Dow Jones. Okay, and then in a manner to the entire US stock market. Right, now it will be more clear whether there will be a gap down open or a gap up open on the daily chart. Okay, but now before that, let's discuss the technicals. Let's analyze the technical indicators on the chart of the S&P 500. But guys, before that, if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell icon. And so far, if you have liked this video, then hit like to appreciate, and your appreciation matters a lot. And if you want to get these daily precise updates of the S&P 500 every day from Monday through Friday, as well as more than 100 opportunities every month in the premium stocks, then you can join my Patreon community. I have given the link in the description of the video and also in the comment section. Now, in terms of the technicals, S&P 500 on the weekly chart is bullish through the Bollinger Bands. S&P 500 is bullish through the moving averages on the weekly chart. S&P 500 is bullish through the Ichimoku cloud on the weekly chart. S&P 500 is bullish through the MACD on the weekly chart. S&P 500 is bullish through the stochastic RSI on the weekly chart, neither overbought nor saturated. S&P 500 is 100% absolute bullish on the weekly chart. Okay, that's why I mentioned in the beginning of this video that still the trend is bullish, absolute bullish. Okay, means any fall will be limited and will be handled, and the market will remain in a condition to move up. Now let's analyze the technicals of the Dow Jones. Dow Jones is bullish through the Ichimoku cloud on the weekly chart. Dow Jones is bullish through the Bollinger Bands on the weekly chart. Dow Jones is bullish through the moving averages on the weekly chart. Dow Jones is, yes, the same. Dow Jones is bullish through the MACD on the weekly chart. Dow Jones is bullish through the stochastic RSI on the weekly chart. Dow Jones is neither overbought nor saturated. Okay. So Dow Jones is also 100% absolute bullish on the weekly chart. Okay, so the S&P 500 is also 100% absolute bullish. Almost the same is in the Nasdaq. Okay, so I'm not going to discuss the Nasdaq and the QQQ, because we know that the Nasdaq and the QQQ have already attained or have tested the all-time high. Okay, so let's focus on the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones. What does this 100% bullishness means for the Dow Jones and for the S&P 500? Now, for the S&P 500, it's clear that S&P 500 is going to move towards 655x, where we are expecting its all-time high. Okay. However, this movement to 655x, it may not be, that smooth, because from here, from the last closing, okay, this is around 1.2%, 1.225%. Okay, although it looks like that the S&P 500 may achieve this much, 1.25% within a day. Okay, but the stock market doesn't work like that, because if you noticed the 655x, okay, it's been 4 weeks, almost a month. Okay, S&P 500 is just giving a very limited up down movement. Sorry, 4 weeks means 1 month. Okay, yeah. So S&P 500 is giving very limited up down movement. Okay, this means S&P 500 can remain in this condition for some more time, or it can even come down. Okay, can trade bearish, okay, for some time, and then will retrace, then will move up. So it will be actually 17th of September when the FOMC event is scheduled. Now, before that, as early as on I think Thursday next week, when the inflation data will be released. Okay, so that will be the initial point where we can say that S&P 500 has the reason, okay, or will be having the reasons to test the all-time high level. Okay, otherwise it will be the 17th of September when the FOMC decision will be known. Okay, and also the press conference of the Federal Reserve Chairman. Okay, but before that, what we know is that as of now, it is absolute bullish, 100% bullish. Okay, it is expected to remain bullish even if there comes any fall. This fall in the S&P 500 in the entire market will be limited. This fall will be limited and recoverable. Limited and recoverable. This is exactly what I mentioned to my Patreon community members, okay, on Friday also, when the S&P 500 came down. Then I mentioned that it will recover from 644x because it has disrespected the 646x. Okay, and once it sustains at the 646x, okay, once it's recovered, then the 649x, but then this will be the max in the bull side, and will remain in between these two, and then in last 2 hours it will remain in between these two. However, for the Dow Jones, okay, there is a little challenge. Challenge is that Dow Jones must keep on sustaining, holding and closing above the previous all-time high. Okay, it must keep on sustaining, holding and closing, and must keep on closing above the previous all-time high. That's it. Okay, especially above this the all-time high that was in the first week of December 2024, 45,073. Okay, as long as it is holding, sustaining and closing above this mark. Okay, so this must be fulfilled, and you will be amazed to know that in last 2 or 3 weeks, in last 2 weeks, Dow Jones has never closed below 45,073 on the daily charts. Okay, weekly chart there is a perfect closing above, but even on the daily chart it is closing above this. Okay, because for the bullishness to happen and for the Dow Jones to hit its expected all-time high, that is a little above, little beyond 46,000 mark. Okay, so the Dow Jones must keep on sustaining, holding and closing above 45,073 mark. And in this manner, the entire market will remain bullish, and doesn't matter whether there is an intraday fall or whatever, okay, is there, but it will remain bullish. But guys, whatever is going to happen or whatever will happen, I will keep you posted, I will keep you updated through these daily precise updates of the S&P 500, Dow Jones, okay, and in a manner to the entire US stock market, which I give to my Patreon community members every day from Monday through Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every day. Pre-market analysis 1 or 2 hours before the open of the stock market, midday update after 3 hours, final update 1 or 2 hours before the closing of the stock market. And in this manner, my Patreon community members are very well aware of the movement, the momentum, okay, what will be the level where the market will sustain, what will be the resistance, okay, support zones and the levels. And that's not all, because I also gave the opportunities in the premium stocks of the US stock market to my Patreon community members every day, minimum 5. Every day, minimum 5 opportunities. Okay, every week, minimum of 25, every month, more than 100 opportunities. More than 80 to 85% of the times, these opportunities worked as were expected to work. So the accuracy is very high. And guys, recently, I have uploaded this video on YouTube and on Patreon, okay, that how to trade in the stocks. So in that video, I have discussed how you can trade equity, how you can trade futures, how you can trade options. And guys, that's not the only thing, but I also gave the midweek update video technical analysis. This video technical analysis is posted every Wednesday or Thursday. And here I discuss each and everything, the movement, bullish movement, bearish movement, support and resistance levels. So guys, whenever you want to join my Patreon community in order to get all of these, I have given the link in the description of the video and also in the comment section. And when you follow that link, then you will see that this is my Patreon page and this is my Patreon profile. And here you will see this button. This button says see membership options. When you click on this button which says see membership options, then you will see that there are these 3 tiers or 3 levels, level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1 and 2 are same, the only difference is the geographical location. And when you subscribe to either of these 2, then you will be getting all midweek update videos every Wednesday or Thursday, daily, every day, SP500 analysis, updates, movement, momentum, levels, zones, and the stock market opportunities in the premium stocks. This level 3 is the premium level, okay, because in this level 3, whatever you are going to get in level 1 and 2, by default, you will be getting that here. Other than that, there will be a one-on-one Zoom video meeting, and in this, the Zoom video meeting, I will tell you entry and exit secrets, the premium hack with very high accuracy, trading or options strategy with very high accuracy, okay, modified technical indicators. So I will share with you and I will help you set up your charts. Then the options premium calculator, how to calculate the options premium value in the real time. And guys, if you notice, many people have joined my Patreon community for last many days, weeks, months, years, and they are getting these daily precise updates of the S&P 500, Dow Jones, and in a manner to the entire US stock market every day from Monday through Friday, as well as the opportunities in the premium stocks every day 5 or more than 5, every week more than 25, and every month more than 100 opportunities in the premium stocks, as well as the midweek update video technical analysis and all of these. So guys, whenever you want to join my Patreon community, I have given the link in the description of the video and also in the comment section. You can follow that link and you can join my Patreon community, and you are welcome. Now guys, I am going to discuss the second point of the agenda of this S&P 500 weekly technical analysis, and this is the daily chart. Daily chart means one candle represents one day, not 1 week or 1 hour. One candle means one day. Now let's first analyze this candle. Now if you notice, it's a good bearish candle. Okay, good bearish candle. Now the most important part of this candle is that on 4th of September, on Thursday, the S&P 500 closed above the 6,500 psychological mark at 6,502. But then on Friday, the S&P 500 closed below the 6,500 psychological mark at 6,481.50. Okay, or .51. So this indicates some pressure on the S&P 500, but this does not confirm because intraday there was a good recovery. Okay, that is why there is no confirmation on the gap down open, but yes, it does confirm an initial or intraday bearish movement on Monday, right? Now let's analyze the last candle of the Dow Jones. This the last candle of the Dow Jones. Again, the closing is above the 45,073, which was the previous all-time high. The closing is now at 45,400.87. Okay, closing is above the moving average. So this also indicate an initial or intraday bearish movement. Yes, there is one more thing here, because there was an intraday recovery and the closing was above the moving average. So this initial or intraday bearish movement will be nullified. The same will happen to the Dow Jones. It will be nullified. See, this is very unique condition, and you will not see this kind of condition when the bullish and bearish, okay, both are nullified. Okay, both cancel each other. Okay, this happens very rare. Okay, once in a while. That's that kind of condition. This means that it indicates neutral condition. This means that whatever the condition was seen on the weekly chart will be applicable on the daily chart. What was the condition on the weekly chart? An initial or intraday bullish movement. Okay, so this means that through the weekly chart of the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones, there will be an initial or intraday bullish movement. Okay, now this is the time when we should consider the Nasdaq. The daily chart of the Nasdaq says or confirms that there is a very heavy bearish condition through Nasdaq. S&P 500 and Dow Jones both are clear. Okay, so there is no problem. But the Nasdaq chart of the Nasdaq says there is very heavy bearish condition that can trigger a gap down open on Monday. Or irrespective of any open, there will be an initial or intraday bearish movement on Monday. So this means that Monday the market is going to struggle. Struggle does not mean that it will fail, it will come down and there will be no recovery. No, as I mentioned on the daily chart, S&P 500 and Dow Jones are giving neutral indication, but on the weekly chart are indicating an initial or intraday bullish movement. But because of the Nasdaq, the tech stocks are expected to come under pressure. Okay, this may happen either initially after open, okay, or during the session. There will be some bearish pressure, some good bearish pressure on the entire US stock market, especially because of the Nasdaq. Okay, now this bearish pressure does not mean that the market is going to fall and there will be heavy fall, because see, if for some reason if there comes a gap down open, this means that market will remain recoverable. Okay, because of the weekly condition wherein it is expecting, wherein the weekly condition is indicating an initial or intraday bullish movement. Okay, but if there somehow if there comes a gap up open, then that condition is already there, then there will be a fall, intraday fall. Either that fall will be seen initially or during the session, but that fall will be there. So this means that if there comes a gap up open, then it will fall to fulfill that condition. If there comes a gap down open, then it will move up to fulfill the same condition. Okay, this is how the indices are interconnected, are interrelated. So in this manner, in both of these cases, an opposite movement will be seen or an opposite movement will happen. Okay, and this is most likely to happen on Monday itself. But in my pre-market analysis, okay, because by the time I will give you the pre-market analysis, it will be very much clear where the S&P 500 is expected to open, and then I will tell you, okay, based on the condition, to what side the opposite movement will be there, what levels will be there in the support or resistance side. Okay, so guys, yes, now let's analyze the technical indicators. But guys, before that, if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell icon. And so far, if you have liked this video, then hit like to appreciate, and your appreciation matters a lot. And if you want to join my Patreon community in order to get these daily precise updates of the S&P 500, Dow Jones, and in a manner to the entire US stock market, as well as more than 100 opportunities in the premium stocks, then you can join my Patreon community. I have given the link in the description of the video and also in the comment section. Now, in terms of the technicals, the S&P 500 is bullish through the Ichimoku cloud on the daily chart. S&P 500 is bullish through the moving averages on the daily chart. S&P 500 is bullish through the Bollinger Bands on the daily chart. The S&P 500 is, yes, it is bearish through the MACD on the daily chart. But the S&P 500 is bullish through the stochastic RSI on the daily chart, and this has now cancelled the bullish and bearish. See, MACD is bearish, stochastic RSI it is bullish. So both of these will cancel this condition and will come into the neutral condition. What was the case before that, means the last week, especially on Tuesday? Okay, sorry, especially on Friday, 29th of August. Okay, here the case was that MACD was bearish as well as the stochastic RSI was bearish, and I mentioned that there will be a sudden failure, sudden fall in the market because of this combination, because this is a bearish combination. Okay, anytime there will be a sharp failure in the or sharp fall in the market, and that was seen as early as on Tuesday. Okay, but now both of these are opposing each other. This means that the condition, the bearishness brought into the index S&P 500 by MACD will now be cancelled by the stochastic RSI, and there is no saturation or these things. So now the S&P 500 is or will be seen as 75% bullish on the daily chart. Right, now let's analyze the Dow Jones. So, and remember, on the weekly chart, both of these indices were 100% bullish. So in case of the Dow Jones is bullish through the Bollinger Bands on the daily chart. Dow Jones is bullish through the Ichimoku cloud on the daily chart. Dow Jones is bullish through the moving averages on the daily chart. Dow Jones is bearish. Dow Jones is bearish. Yes, the Dow Jones is bearish through the MACD. This bearishness was seen on Friday itself. Dow Jones is also bearish through the stochastic RSI. Now there is a combination of bearishness. Okay, MACD is bearish, stochastic RSI is bearish on the daily chart, and this means that a sudden fall, sharp fall, okay, this can happen anytime, and especially, okay, heavy chances are on Monday. This means that even if there comes a gap down open, then that gap down open will not be a surprise at all, because the stochastic RSI and the MACD both are aligned in a bearish manner. Okay, and if you are my Patreon community member, then yesterday on Friday in my final update I mentioned that there will be bearishness through the Dow Jones, okay, because of this condition. So Dow Jones is only 60%. Dow Jones is only 60% bullish and is also susceptible for a sudden or a sharp fall. Okay, so now what does this mean that it is 60%, it is 75% bullish? Again, market is in a condition to hold and sustain bullish, to trade bullish, to try for the bullishness, and any fall will be limited, will be restricted and recoverable. This means that even if the Dow Jones causes a sudden and sharp fall, okay, on Monday, and the market has to come down, then also that will be limited and will be recoverable intraday. Even intraday it will remain recoverable. See, this is how the technicals help us to trade carefully and help us to understand whether there will be a sudden rise or a sudden fall. So guys, now before I proceed to the next point of the agenda, that is the probable movement, I have this important information to share with you. This is my S&P 500 knowledge transfer program. Through this program, whatever I know, whatever I have learned, okay, I will share my knowledge with you. I will tell you the basics and the advanced of the markets, okay, the secrets of the markets, the technical indicators. I am using the modified technical indicator. This is why I am able to predict the movement, or I am able to see the movement, okay, through the technicals even before that movement happens. Okay, I will help you set up your charts. I will share with you the trading strategies with very high accuracy, and these trading strategies are modified. Okay, then the market analysis, how to analyze the market, then the options, the basics and the advanced of the options, okay, and including the options premium calculator. I will teach you how to calculate the premium value of any option. Means you can predict the current value and the future value of any option. Okay, then the support and resistance levels. You know that my support and resistance levels are very well respected by the S&P 500, Dow Jones and Nasdaq. Okay, then the price prediction, how to predict the price even before it happens. Okay, so just like yesterday I mentioned that 653x will be the mark from where there will be a shortfall, okay, a short-term fall for around 2 days or so. Before that it was 649x, before that it was 646x, okay, before that it was 614x, which was actually the all-time high of the S&P 500 earlier. Trend analysis, okay, how to analyze the trend. Manipulation analysis, how to understand and how to see whether the market is manipulated or not, and how to convert the manipulated traps into opportunities. Then the market hacks with very high accuracy. These are some basic terms and conditions, and these are the snapshots of the meetings. So guys, whenever you want to participate in this program, whenever you want to learn all of this, the basics and the advanced of the market, everything including options and everything, and you want to become self-reliant, okay, and want to trade comfortably for the rest of your life with confidence, okay, then you can participate in this program. And for that you can simply send me an email. This is my email address, and I have given the link to this spreadsheet, this Google spreadsheet, in the description of the video and also in the comment section. Now guys, I am going to discuss the third and the last point of the agenda of this S&P 500 weekly technical analysis, and here I will give you the probable movement. Probable movement means what is expected to happen in the S&P 500 and in a manner to the entire US stock market in the next week, the week of September 8th. Means from September 8th, which is Monday, to September 12th, that will be Friday. Now next week, the most important days are Tuesday and Thursday. On Tuesday there will be the non-farm payrolls revision. Okay, this will happen once the market comes into the session at 10 a.m. Eastern time on Tuesday. Then on Thursday, the CPI data, core CPI data, means the inflation data, will be released. These are the two important days, and the most important day is the Thursday, when the inflation data will be released, because now the Wall Street is very much clear that there will be a rate cut in the next meeting on 17th of September. Okay, but that is again I cannot confirm. Okay, but through this, the CPI data, the market will come to know, the Wall Street will come to know, okay, that what the Feds may do, okay, or may not do. So these are the 2 days. So the very first day is the Tuesday, okay, and then Thursday. This means that Monday market will trade, usually will trade normally as per the technicals. Okay, on Tuesday, once the non-farm payroll data is revised, then we will see, okay, whether there comes a very sharp fluctuation in the market and where the market closes. Based on that, it will be confirmed and clear. So that where the S&P 500 is going to close on Tuesday, and then the same will be replicated, almost the same will be there on Wednesday. Now guys, before I proceed further, if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell icon. And so far, if you have liked this video, then hit like to appreciate, and your appreciation matters a lot. And if you want to get these daily precise updates of the S&P 500 every day from Monday through Friday and for the entire US stock market, as well as more than 100 opportunities in the premium stocks of the US stock market, then you can join my Patreon community. I have given the link in the description of the video and also in the comment section. Okay, now in terms of the movement, what we know is that S&P 500 is 75% bullish on the daily chart. It is 100% bullish on the weekly chart. There is no problem in the S&P 500 as such. Dow Jones MACD is bearish and stochastic RSI is bearish. Means bearishness is there, some bearish pressure is there. This can trigger a sudden and sharp fall, including the gap down open on Monday. But because of the bullish conditions, there will be an intraday recovery. Now comes the Nasdaq. Nasdaq is indicating a gap down open on Monday, or irrespective of any open, good bearishness and initial or intraday bearishness, initial or intraday bearish movement. This means that on Monday there are chances, okay, that we may see an initial bearish movement. Okay, it may be seen in terms of the gap down, okay, or immediately after open, okay, it can try to come down. But remember, because of the bullishness on the weekly chart and on the daily chart of the S&P 500, market will remain recoverable, bearish side will remain limited, and the market will remain recoverable. Okay, now what does that mean? This means that, okay, now the technicals are going to support and the levels here. In case of the S&P 500, any fall will be handled by 646x. Any fall will be handled by 646x. If somehow there comes a gap down open and that open is seen below 646x, then the S&P 500 will be coming down to the next good support at 644x. Okay, if the gap down is limited or the fall is limited, or even if there comes a gap up open and then it comes down, okay, so in any case it must sustain at the 646x. If the 646x is lost, then it must sustain at the 644x. Fine, as long as the S&P 500 is holding, sustaining at or above 644x, fine, it will remain bullish. In order to remain absolute bullish or heavily bullish, okay, in very safe bullish condition, 646x. The S&P 500 must hold, sustain and trade above 646x. Right? What will happen if the S&P 500 loses the 644x? And how it can lose the 644x? Because of the Dow Jones. Because of the Dow Jones and the Nasdaq. Okay. Now, S&P 500, the top 7 or 8 constituents of the S&P 500 are the tech stocks. Amazon, Google, Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia. These are the same stocks that are also there in the Nasdaq and are also the top 7 or top 8. Because we are expecting some bearishness, some pressure on Nasdaq, this means that it will be felt on the S&P 500. So S&P 500 does not have its own bearish pressure. It doesn't have its own bearish pressure. That bearish pressure will be coming through the Dow Jones and the Nasdaq. But the things will not turn bad. Everything will remain good and fine, okay, as long as the S&P 500 is holding, sustaining and trading above 646x or 644x if it loses the 646x. Now, once it loses the 644x, in that case, the 6400 psychological mark and my level in the 640x will come into the picture. Okay, because in between the 644x and the 640x, okay, there is a small zone in the 642x, but this zone is not heavy, okay, as compared to the 646x, 644x and the 6400 or the 640x. This means that a fall from 644x, okay, will be then seen to the 640x. When it comes to the 640x level, Okay, then it will be near to the 6400 psychological mark. Now, on 2nd of September, the S&P 500 came down, okay, heavily sustained and closed above the 6400 mark or 640x level. This means that as of now, this the short term fall from 653x that I mentioned to my Patreon community members on Friday. Okay, it should be limited to the 6400 or 640x. Okay, but at the same time you must understand that a fall, okay, a fall from the current level which is 6481 to the 6400 psychological mark is more than 1% and is about 1.25%. This means that the S&P 500 has the technical and the non-technical reasons, okay, that whenever it comes down it will find support at the 6400 or my heavy support level at 640x. Only and only if something happens like very bad or something in the stock market because of some news, okay, some news or something like that, then only it can trigger around 2% fall or so. Then only the 640x will be lost, otherwise not. Now there is one more thing, because this is the weekly technical analysis and I'm talking about for the entire week. Now let's say that the S&P 500 holds at 646x, okay, Monday, and also it has managed to hold at 646x on Tuesday, or at most, okay, at or above 644x, okay, then it will remain in a condition to try for the 6500 range. Okay, but again, as I mentioned in the previous S&P 500 weekly technical analysis, for the 6500 to come into the picture, there must come continuous closings above 646x. 646x. Okay, then there must come continuous closings above 649x. Now if you notice, the S&P 500 never managed to give continuous or more than, or you can say like, 2 consecutive closings. Okay, I always go for 2 consecutive closings, a minimum. It never gave at the 649x. If you see here on 28th of August, it closed above 649x, okay, at 6481, but because it was already under obligation to come down, so it came down. Then on 4th of September, it closed above 649x, then the next day below 649x. So this means that the S&P 500 is sustaining at the 646x, but is failing again and again to hold and to close above the 649x. This means that now there is a clear indication. In order to trade and sustain comfortably in the 6500 range and to move towards the expected all-time high of 655x, the S&P 500 must give closings, back-to-back closings, okay, not 2, not 3, but back-to-back closings above, daily closings above 649x. Only and only when the daily closings are seen above 649x, then only the S&P 500 will be in a condition, comfortable position and comfortable condition to sustain at or sustain in the 6500 range. And then when it sustains in the 6500 range, then there will be good chances or good possibility of the 655x. Okay, but there will be a very heavy failure if the S&P 500 try to move up, does not sustain, does not close above, or gives only one closing, okay, above 649x, moves up within a day or two, it hits the 655x, then it will be forced, it will be compelled to come down. Because in order to test the 655x and to retest, test and then retest, like to sustain around for 1 to 2 days, 1 to 3 days around this the 655x, the S&P 500 must give back-to-back closings above 649x. This means that for the 655x, the S&P 500 must recover, must give back-to-back closings above 649x, then only the 655x will be expected. But again, there is no guarantee that it will be able to hit the 655x even after sustaining and holding and closing above 649x. because as of now 17th of September, okay, we are waiting for the 17th of September, and by 17th of September, okay, or on 17th of September, the S&P 500 can do so. Otherwise, at earliest the next Thursday when the inflation data will be released, then on that day also it can do so, provided by Thursday the S&P 500 is sustaining, holding and closing above 649x, otherwise not. Okay, this means it is now very much clear. If the S&P 500 is trading below 649x, sustaining below, closing below 649x, then the all-time high will not come into the picture. In that case, the 646x and 644x will come into the picture again and again, with a possibility of 6,300 range. 6,300 range. Okay, why? Because see, as long as the closing is seen above 646x, no problem at all. It is safe, it is bullish, it is heavily bullish, it is safe, absolutely safe. When it trades below 646x, then comes the problem. Okay, but the problem is limited because it is trading in between 646x and 644x. But when it start to trade below 644x and the closings are also seen below 644x, then the 6400 psychological mark and 6403, my calculated level, comes into the picture, and then S&P 500 will have to struggle to sustain and not to lose the 6400 mark. Because when it loses the 6400, then it will be back into the 6300 range. This may happen on Monday, this may happen on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, any day. Okay, it may take one day, it may take 2 to 3 days or 4 days. Okay, but what we know is that bull side, for the bull side to happen, the 649x. Okay, but now the problem is that the Dow Jones is creating this problem, and yes, and the Nasdaq. Dow Jones and Nasdaq are creating the problem, putting the pressure on the S&P 500 and the market. This means that on Monday also, if all goes well, then S&P 500 might not be or will not be able to sustain and to recover or to move to or above 649x. It is expected to remain 649x because of the Dow Jones and the Nasdaq. Okay, if the situation improves within the first hour, then there is no problem. Okay, within the first hour, if the situation improves, then it will be 649x. Okay, pretty simple, right? On Monday itself, it will be very much clear whether the S&P 500 is in a condition to try for the 655x, the expected all-time high, in this week or not. Okay, because the initial movement, and then we will have to see what is happening at the 646x, because a closing below 646x again brings the 6300 range into the picture. Okay, yes, I remember one more thing with this, the 6300. This is that if you notice, yes, this time when it came down from 649x, okay, the low was 6360. Earlier when it came down from 646x, the low was 6344. Okay, 6344, 6360. This time when it comes down, it will show heavy reluctance to hit or to breach the 6360 mark, because the low was above the previous low. So this time this low in the 6300 range will be above the 6360 mark. Okay, because the market can sustain and can remain bullish only if this condition is fulfilled. Because if this condition is out, then there are no chances. In that case, this can trigger a long-term reversal. Okay, but in the current case, this reversal will be up to 17th of September only, when the FOMC event is there. Okay, but technically or in general, okay, whether it happens before 17th of September or after 17th of September, whenever it happens, whenever the S&P 500 starts to close below 6360, first indication, market is now ready for the short-term reversal. Short-term reversal means for 1 week, 1 to 2 weeks. When it closes below, trades below and closes below 6344, means the market is in the reversal. Okay, and the bullish side will now be restricted. This means that the bearish side S&P 500 must defend the bearish side, must not breach. Okay, forget about closing. It must not breach 6360. Then only it will remain in a condition to trade bullish. Okay, and to follow this pattern. What pattern? Okay, just a second. This pattern. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. This pattern. Okay, then only it will be in a condition to follow this pattern. Otherwise there will be a big problem, because this will then, because if the failure of that condition will trigger a reversal, for sure that will trigger a reversal. And if the S&P 500 comes into the reversal before hitting the 655x, then we will have to wait for around 1 month or more than a month before we can see this bullish reversal again, and the S&P 500 is trying for 655x. Okay, this means that there are very good chances, very heavy chances that S&P 500, if it follows, okay, this trend, to test the 655x. But after coming into the reversal, this is not expected to happen. But guys, whatever is going to happen or whatever will happen, I will keep you posted, I will keep you updated through these daily precise updates of the S&P 500, Dow Jones, and in a manner to the entire US stock market. So guys, hit like if you have liked this video, in order to appreciate, and your appreciation matters a lot. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you have not yet subscribed, and hit the bell icon. And guys, if you have any questions that you want to ask, then please feel free to ask your questions through the comment section.